VW by 10 the last time they saw each other.
Yeah, really a long and athletic team. VW definitely have to work some of their rotations in to get some taller players in, more athletic to run up and down the floor to counteract that, possibly get into some switch opportunities off the pick and roll to really get that mismatch advantage, possibly getting a quicker guard against one of the longer post players. So it'll be interesting to see how the rotation and their game plan sets up against such a long and athletic team like Capital.
Excited to see how this all plays out. We'll hear from head coach Sherry Harrer next. It's the Yellow Jackets and the Crusaders coming up in just a couple of minutes on VWYellowJackets.com. Pre-game coverage of the Yellow Jackets continues this afternoon before a big matchup in conference with the Capital Crusaders. We're here with head coach Sherry Harrer. And Sherry, I know anytime you get a chance to play Capital, it means a little bit more because it's probably the two most storied programs, at least in the last 50 years in this conference. How much does that play into you, knowing that they've got veteran leadership the way they do with Coach Jeffers?
Yeah, certainly the last 20 years, it's been a battle, and it doesn't matter what the records are. It's usually give and take and a nail-biter all the way because we're both competitors. But it really comes down to if the kids really want it, and we'll see what happens with that.
Only got a couple games left in the regular season. What are some of the things you want to shore up before you get into the conference tournament?
Obviously, you want to continue to improve offensively and defensively. Just fix those little mistakes that we try to point out on film and just become more consistent as you go down the stretch.
How challenging is it for your team to not look too far forward to next weekend, knowing that right now you're in a second-place tie with Wilmington and you'll play them in the last game of the season?
Boy, I sure hope they aren't looking past, because in this league, and hopefully we figured that out, in this league, it doesn't matter. Like, there's 2 games separate a team that's not playing in the tournament and a team that's in 4th right now. And we've shared that with our team, that everybody has something to play for, and if you don't bring your A game, you're in trouble.
Tonight, in particular, your guard play seems like it's maybe skipped a beat just here and there with Casey not being on the floor, but for the most part it seems like it's filled in nicely. Who do you think could have a big game for you from your guards?
Boy, I hope several do. It's hard to predict. It's really hard to predict. I just hope they're all solid, and we have a couple people that can knock down shots today.
Are there any matchups, though, in particular with the way they will line up against you, who you think, man, whoever's playing at this spot on the floor could?
They're so long and athletic, it's really hard. And they switch a lot. So there's no one matchup because they're not going to necessarily be guarding any one person. They're strong defensively. They're long. They're athletic. They rebound the heck out of the ball. And if we don't come prepared to fight, we're going to have a long day.
And before I let you go, how about one big key to the game?
Rebounding, and then we've got to make things happen defensively. If we don't rebound, we can't run, and that hurts us offensively. So we've got to get some stops and some boards, and hopefully that'll lead to some buckets.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brendan.
All right, more after this on BWYellowJackets.com. Today's Yellow Jacket women's basketball game is brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company. By Domino's Pizza in Berea. You can order online at domino's.com. And by the Ohio Education Credit Union. Gain the advantage and build your future today. Time for the starting lineups as the Crusaders and Yellow Jackets get prepared for the opening tip. Capital at 9-13 on the year is far below average for them, but they are still a good team in conference and are on the verge of making the OAC tournament in a couple of weeks. They'll have junior guard Annika Watchman. She's been a really excellent player this year. Colleen Fondesi, Emily Ondo had a nice outing against BW last time. Meredith Ovies and Chelsea Plaw, the 5 to start for the Crusaders for 31st year head coach Dixie Jeffers. For the Yellow Jackets, senior Sydney Clark, junior Katie Smith, sophomore Hannah Fecht, and seniors Mackenzie Colombo and Clara Lemon start for Sherry Herrer's Yellow Jackets. She's in her 27th year leading the program in Berea. Ryan, a big key to the game in your eyes before we get started tonight.
Like Coach talked about in the pregame, just rebounding really. Got out-rebounded by 10, especially on that offensive glass. Really killed them with the second chance opportunities in their first meeting. So really just being able to rebound and then get back on transition really be a big key for the Yellow Jackets today.
It was such a low-scoring game in that win down in Bexley earlier this season. Baldwin Wallace won the game 51-40, and it was a game that really didn't feature very much good shooting early on. In fact, Capital led at halftime 17-16.
Yeah.
So a more normal second half for BW, but they didn't score 10 points in either of the first 2 quarters of the afternoon.
Yeah, BW shot, I believe, around 35% from both the field and 3 for the entire game, and Capital was under 30% and under 20 in the 3-point column. So really a poor shooting performance by both teams.
Crusaders in purple and right, the Jackets in their home gold, and off we go from Ursprung Gymnasium. Glad to have you on board with us. And 1 week from today, we'll have a lot more figured out. This is the 3rd to last game of the regular season as Mackenzie Colombo is fouled driving down the left side. The 3 games left on the schedule for BW, Capital, Mount Union, and Wilmington. And they are big for several reasons. By the way, the foul was on Emily Ondo, her first, as Colombo hits the first free throw. Baldwin Wallace has lost 4 games in conference play, 2 of them to the undefeated Ohio Northern Polar Bears, but the other 2 are to the final 2 teams on their schedule. And they'll have a chance to avenge those losses at Mount Union in Alliance on Wednesday, and then back here at home, senior day against the Wilmington Quakers. The Jackets have guaranteed themselves a home game no matter what seed they finish, 2 or 3, but they have their own destiny in their own hands. Sydney Clark pulls down the miss from Capital, so the Jackets go the other way. If BW wins out, they'll be the 2 seed in the tournament, and they won't play until Thursday of the OAC tournament week, which is next week, or I should say the following week, not this upcoming week. Colombo with a travel, so she gives it away. So a lot at stake for BW in that regard, Ryan, but Capital's fighting for a tournament spot.
Yeah, really 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. BW looking for 2 buys in their first 2 rounds, and Capital really just fighting to even get into the tournament at this point.
Plaw, nice move underneath, but it didn't roll in for her. Clara Lemon grabs the rebound, and though she usually doesn't, the forward dribbles the ball up the floor. Still no Casey Hughes, but hopefully her return is shortcoming.
Yeah, still dealing with that high ankle sprain, but she is transitioning out of a walking boot, I know, so hopefully she'll be back here in the next couple weeks for postseason play. 5
to shoot for Clark. She gives up. Katie Smith has to catch and fire, and she puts it in. Katie Smith, first long shot of the game, and the Jackets have a 5-0 lead early. Katie Smith has played an important role, sometimes off the bench, but usually as a starter for BW this year. It was sort of odd as things kind of unfolded. She was taken out of the starting lineup. Hannah Fecht was inserted. The first time that happened, though, Hannah picked up 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game and had to sit the rest of the half. So Katie essentially played the entire first half as though she was a starter. And then a couple of games later, Casey Hughes was injured, and her injury dictated some more shuffling. So Katie Smith has seen a lot of time on the floor, and she hits the big early shot. Holding on the right side, this is Fondesi giving it up. Working around the perimeter, Ovi's holding over her head. Left corner now for Annika Watchman. Looking down the right lane, Watchman blocked. No offensive foul called, despite the fact the Yellow Jackets wanted that on the bench. And it goes on Katie Smith, her first. Couple of minutes into the game, so far Capital hasn't really gotten too many solid looks at the basket yet. BW's defense has looked as good as advertised.
And really in these first couple minutes, BW doing a good job of not being afraid to attack the paint against some taller girls for Capital here, but also able to dish out after that penetration to get a nice three-point opportunity for Katie Smith.
Watchman solid from the free throw line this year. She hits both. She's an 85% free throw shooter. As a team, Capital right underneath the 70% threshold. One possession game early in the first quarter, and Sydney Clark's jump shot from the keyhole miss, but Clara Lemon runs down the rebound. Already a couple of nice rebounding efforts from her. That will certainly make Sherry Harrer and company happy. Colombo between the rings, goes to her right. Fact to three ball. And one of the nation's best misses too long. Rebound picked up off the ground by Colleen Fondesi.
Like you said, Hannah Feck shooting right around 45% on the year. One of the top shooters in the country, unable to connect on that one.
Watchman, little bit of a hesitation move as she went behind her back. Created a nice look as Clara Lemon was double teamed grabbing the rebound. Feck steps into another one. She's usually on point, but today 0 for 2 to start the game.
And even with those two misses, she can't be afraid to continue taking those shots. Those are the shots she's able to knock down with consistency. So we're looking for her to continue that shot throughout the game.
Riley Schill, Kara Marshall, Tiffany Bentler all waiting to check in as Fecht comes up with a big block. Pulled in though, and a nice recovery as Chelsea Plah banks one home. It's Capital's first basket from the field. 3.5 minutes in to make it 5-4. A whole slew of Jackets waiting to check in. Wommeldorf joins the trio of guards over at the scorer's table. And Sydney Clark picked up a pivot foot. So here comes the 4 new faces for BW. Let's see who the only one to stay in the game will be. It'll be Sydney Clark. Riley Schill, probably the most notable, only because she had an excellent game against Capital the first time these two teams met. Schill came off the bench, 10 points in 17 minutes, a couple of rebounds, she played well. All right, on the right half for Capital, trying to work the ball into the paint. Ovi's down low, and Plah, no good. Was out of bounds off of the Yellow Jackets. Here comes a 5th sub, and this one's going to spare Sydney Clark. It's sophomore guard Alex Starr on the floor for Baldwin Wallace. On the inbound, Reagan Stonerock, who just checked in. She had it stripped, and it stays with the Crusaders. 9 to shoot mid-first quarter.
Really good interior defense so far from BW, really promising against getting that height mismatch in the favor of Capital.
7 on the timer. A fake from the corner. Now Plah drives, and she was out of control and lost the ball. There goes the shot clock horn, and because nobody had possession, it is officially a shot clock violation. So the Yellow Jackets defense holds strong. Capital 1 of 7 from the floor to start the game. Riley Schill runs the point, freshman from Elyria Catholic. Marshall back to Wommeldorf, who's got a decent mid-range game for being a post player. Starr looking around, needs some help. 5 to shoot now for the Jackets. It's Wommeldorf just beyond the free throw line, and she gets the friendly bounce.
Like you talked about, Wommeldorf able to connect from mid-range with consistency this year. Her and Lemon really both do a good job of being able to take the ball inside as well as have a mid-range presence.
Fondesi nearly threw it away, but Watchman was fouled by Schill on the far side. Jackets lead a one-possession game. It's Riley Schill's first personal and team's second. Another sub as Aaron Reisner checks in, the sophomore from Canfield out in eastern Ohio. Waiting for Sarah Junker to find her way onto the floor as well. The next dead ball. Watchman fakes from the right wing, gives to Ovies and gets it right back. Long jump shot from Stone Rock, never got to the rim.
Really good closeout defense there from Wormeldorf. Nice late contestation to really force that shot to fall rather short.
Plaw checks out as Junker takes her spot, and now Annika Watchman leaves the floor and Meredith Ovies replaces her. So Junker seeing her first action of the game, while Fecht and Colombo return for BW. A little more offensive presence. Kara Marshall thought she had a driving lane. Colombo gives to Tiffany Bentler. And Tiffany traveled. That's the third Baldwin Wallace travel in the first 6 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Bentler tried to plant there to get the nice feed to Marshall rather, and just kind of couldn't quite get that back pivot foot set and slid it and caused for the travel.
Capital working the right side of the floor while the Yellow Jackets clog the interior. A move from Junker. She passes away to Reisner, who just turns and bricks one up there and then commits an offensive foul.
That's what BW's going to need to do, is they're going to need to box out, especially with the tall and lanky stature of a lot of these Capital basketball players. Really good box out there by Wormeldorf.
Colombo had an opening and spins it in. 9-4 as this game continues to look a lot like the first meeting of the season between these two. Not a lot of scoring. Another block shot, but that time Wormeldorf got Fondesi on the back of the wrist. So Wormeldorf picks up her first, team third here in the first quarter. Again, if you joined us late, BW was limited to and second quarters respectively of their first meeting of the season. BW usually is not held to single-digit point totals in any quarter. I know it's rare for most teams, but especially a team as capable as BW is at scoring the basketball. Capital continues to struggle from the floor. They've hit 1 out of 10 shots. 4 of their 6 points have come from the free throw line. Largest lead of the game for the Jackets has been 5 points, and they have led throughout. And Effect. Looking for some room. Colombo into a double team. Lemon likes that baseline jumper. Instead, Colombo for 3, and she puts it through.
Colombo, one of the better three-point shooters for the Yellow Jackets. Really more of an attack player, getting to the rim, but there she's able to convert from 3.
Watchman and Ondo exchange passes as Reisner drives now left side. Rolls over the rim. Another missed basket for the Crusaders. Sydney Clark to the right side. Colombo. She was held in single digits last time out against Capital. Also a rarity for her as Sydney Clark gets called for a 5-second violation.
And really BW not shooting the ball at a poor clip so far, shooting 50% from the field and 33% from 3, but really those 4 turnovers are what killing them so far.
Crusaders looking to cut into this deficit. Reisner threw a bad pass into the post. It's loose, and it's going to Capital as it rolls out of bounds. All right, 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Reagan Stone Rock leaves the floor. Only 3 seconds to shoot. Watchman has to just throw it up. Never hit. Just grazed the front of the rim. Katie Smith on the rebound. Sydney Clark, a long three, and the Jackets are getting hot.
Sydney Clark
15-6.
Really from deep there for Sydney Clark. Expanding her range there, able to knock down from deep.
We'll take a timeout. A full stoppage on the floor called for by the Crusaders. It's all Jackets early on in Berea. Yellow Jacket basketball today brought to you by Medical Mutual of Ohio, the official healthcare provider for Baldwin Wallace University. 15-6. Capitals only hit 1 out of 12 from the floor. In the first 8.5 minutes of this game, Ryan, the interior defense for BW has been terrific. They've already blocked 4 shots.
Yeah, really on that one possession specifically, I counted there was about 3 of them. Really in one possession, really great interior defense so far.
Long range 2, no good from Chelsea Plaw. The putback also off the mark. Clara Lemon grabs yet another rebound. She's been active early in this one with 4 rebounds. Baldwin Wallace, with 3 wins in the last 3 games of the regular season, could lock down the 2 seed in the OAC tournament the final week of February. Riley Schill with 5 to let it go. On the give and go, Lemon no good. Claw grabs the rebound. Final minute of the quarter. Ondo gives away, and a bad shot put up by Reisner. From fairly close to the basket, went all the way over the rim and never hit the orange.
Really good opportunity, but just unable to convert.
All right, the shot clock is off. And this nightmarish first quarter for Capital is almost over. 1 of 15 from the floor with 7 seconds to play. It's up to Sydney Clark. High off the glass and in. Sydney Clark makes it 17-6. An exclamation point to finish off this nice first quarter for BW. Sydney Clark's had a nice game. She's got 5 so far. In fact, all 5 of the most recent points for BW. Second quarter coming your way next on BWYellowJackets.com. Today's Yellow Jacket basketball game brought to you by the Comfort Inn in Middleburg Heights, where your comfort is just a part of the service that we provide our guests. It's been a great afternoon so far on the hard court for the ladies Yellow Jackets, who are playing very well. Capital, no shot on the floor, a travel. Capitals hit 1. Let me repeat that. 1 basket in more than 10 minutes of action now.
Yeah, shooting 6% from the floor is just not going to get it done for the Crusaders here this afternoon. Really going to have to pick up their performance on the offensive end if they want to close this gap.
We'll try to give you some updates from around the OAC today as well. Lots of games going on across the 10 teams as Colombo drove that baseline but stepped on it. John Carroll's playing Ohio Northern. Of course, the Polar Bears still unbeaten, one of the few remaining unbeaten teams in D3 women's basketball. After one quarter, Ohio Northern is pounding John Carroll 21-12 out in Ada. Blue Streaks have only had 4 of 17 shots in that game. Marietta is beating Wilmington at the moment, 14-9, as Hannah Fecht contests that jump shot, which goes in for Aaron Reisner. So Reisner gets just the second basket from the floor. That game, by the way, in Marietta is in the middle of the second quarter. If Marietta beats Wilmington, that would give BW a little bit of breathing room. I'd certainly be willing to take that. Fecht for 3 on the right wing.
After missing her first 2 3-point opportunities, Fecht able to convert that third one. Look for her to get going here in the second quarter.
Good balance from BW in the early going. Everybody seems like they're getting involved. It's Hannah's first basket of the game. In the right corner, overhead pass from Pla underneath was knocked out of bounds. So Marietta leads Wilmington now at 19-9. Ohio Northern over John Carroll 23-12. Mount Union and Heidelberg in a 12-11 affair. That one's in the middle of the first quarter. Mount Union on top by 1. And we'll try to get you an update from the Otterbein and Muskingum game as well. It's Muskie 21, Otterbein 16. Now 20-10 after Pla puts that one in. Loose on the floor, picked up, rolled to the far side, and Wommeldorf has it. Fecht is open for yet another. That is unlike Hannah Fecht, missing everything there. Dribbling off her knee, recovering just in time. We'll see if Sesh can come up with something. Not a bad look, but Sam Sesh, the freshman from Hilliard Darby, too strong. Marshall into the forecourt, misses the runner.
Really a nice hesitation move there, just unable to finish on that trip to the lane for Marshall.
Capitals protecting the ball fine. They've only turned it over once, but 3 of 18 shooting is not getting it done for the Crusaders. Yeah. Watchman tries the crossover on Colombo. Very well defended. That forced a wild shot. Poor positioning, though, on the rebound, and Stone Rock was able to put in a second chance opportunity. Colombo decides she's going right to the can, uncontested. Colombo with 9 leads all scorers. BW leads it by 10. You can see a rather deflated look on Dixie Jeffers' face after Sesh lays in an easy one. It's an 8-point game, and Sherry Harrer wants a 30-second timeout. 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and BW doesn't want any Capital momentum to get going here.
Yeah, definitely a good timeout there by Coach Harrer. Really don't want to get them, like you said, in that momentum, in that groove where they can start to close that gap. Only up by 8 points now are the Yellow Jackets. So with a couple good shots in close for Capital to start off this quarter, good call there by Coach Harrer.
By the way, the men are also playing Capital, and since we have a brief pause in action, an update from the BW Capital game down in Bexley. It is a big one. Baldwin Wallace leads Capital 64-63 with just under 3 minutes to go. Mike Kaminsky has 14. He's starting to round into shape nicely. Featherolf and Battle both with 11. Cam Kuhn 9 points today on 3 of 9 from the floor. We'll follow the Jackets all the way to the finish. Tiffany Bettler on the right wing on the ladies' hardcourt. She was denied defensively, and then the ball was thrown right back into her. Her shot was blocked. An odd sequence there. Capital down by 8. Lane considered stepping into a 3, but Ashley pulls it back out. Sesh tried to circle it around. It was deflected, and still Stone Rock came up with it. Back to Sesh in the right corner. Left side, Watchman with 7 to shoot. A bad pass into the paint, picked away by Bentler. 2-on-2. Then Alex Starr pulls it out. But she's open for a long 2 and puts it in.
And Starr, one of those players starting to see more minutes now with a couple injuries. A little tweak in the rotation for her. Really a nice jump shot there for her in the second quarter.
Boy, Marietta is starting to run away from Wilmington on the ladies' side. How about that? 21-9. Wilmington can't get it going offensively. That's really good news for BW. They are Pioneer fans today. An odd-looking shot from Ashley Lane goes out of bounds. And this has not been a good first half for Capital.
Yeah, and really give a lot of credit to the BW defense. A lot of really great inside contests, ball pressures to force late shot clock opportunities. Really a good job so far by the Yellow Jacket defense.
31 years Dixie Jeffers has led the Capital Crusaders. After the travel, the ball goes back the other way. Her first season was the 86-87 campaign down in Bexley. Won back-to-back national titles, 93-94 and the 94-95 season. First Division III program on the women's side to repeat as national champions. Dixie is closing in on 700 career coaching wins. She coached at the NAIA for 3 seasons before joining Capital back in the early and mid-80s. She's down in Rio Grande, Texas. Riley Schill from the corner. And the shot clock's going to expire here. That's a violation. In those 30 years leading up to this year, Ryan, 10 regular season titles, 10 OAC tournament titles, and 13 NCAA appearances. So it's just really odd to look at the standings and see the Crusaders 9-13, and they're 5-10 in the OAC with just 3 games left.
Yeah, really such a storied program. Really change of pace for them to be competing for one of those final spots in the OAC tournament.
Law working hard to get around Lemon, who's playing her butt off defensively today. She's been outstanding.
Yeah, her and Wormeldorf really doing a good job on the glass. Really great efforts by both of them.
Schill kept on running down that bobbled ball. It rolled out of bounds. 10-point lead for the Yellow Jackets in a slightly less intense second period. Capitals already scored more points halfway through the second quarter than they had the entire first quarter.
Yeah, starting to pick up that field goal percentage a little bit. Obviously, a lot of room for improvement after a 6% performance.
Schill for 2. The lead is back to 12. Riley Schill with her first 2 points of the game. Nice move by Stone Rock to get underneath. I beg your pardon, that was Sam Sesh underneath the basket as Riley Schill got hit with the personal. That's her second. Team first here in the second quarter. So that puts Sam Sesh. Geez, I can't say that. It puts Sam Sesh at the free throw line. She's only 7 of 14 on the year before missing her first there. Schill and Alex Starr both check out. Splits the pair. It's the starting 5 back on the floor for the Jackets. And Meredith Ovies returns here for Sam Sesh. Baldwin Wallace trying to take care of business 1 game at a time. Colombo hands it to Fecht. Katie Smith on the left wing. Given a little bit of room, but the hand check foul from Chelsea Plaw puts BW on the baseline. Here comes Kara Marshall and Megan Schubert for Sydney Clark and Clara Lemon. Megan Schubert's first time here this afternoon. 6'3" forward. Fact off the inbound, way too long on the jumper.
2 air balls now for Facts, really uncharacteristic of her, those misses.
Final 4 minutes of the first half. Ovies passes up top. Fondesi nearly traveled as she passed to Flaw. Chelsea Pla going to the free throw line.
Nice move there by Pla to get Schubert off her feet a little bit with a nice drop step there to get into the lane. She'll go to the line for 2.
Foul is on Megan Schubert, her first. Pla's free throw is good, makes it a 10-point affair. Wednesday night, the Yellow Jackets will be on the road for the final time in the regular season down in Alliance, hoping to avenge an early season loss to Mount Union. The game tips off at 7:30 down in Alliance. BW started the season 11-0 before losing 3 in a row to Ohio Northern, Mount Union, and Wilmington. But Mount Union was the first of the 3 to knock off the Yellow Jackets. That was back on January 4th.
Yeah, really that 3-game slide with really the only slip up so far for the Yellow Jackets this season. Really a great season other than that.
Colombo just a little off the mark as it goes out of bounds. Baldwin Wallace has a very good chance to win 20 games again this season, which is becoming a common theme for a Sherry Harrer-led program. The team has been in the NCAA tournament 13 times since 1996. Sherry Harrer has had unprecedented success in Baldwin Wallace women's basketball history. Fresh clock to work with here as Colombo gets it right back. Katie Smith considered the 3, then bounced back to Colombo. Schubert in the paint, had a good look at it, missed it, then tried, and she got fouled. Megan Schubert, just a little bit taller than everybody else. She was trying to rip down the basketball. Almost kind of looked like she got her shoulder tangled up in there. She's okay.
Did really a good job of using that height advantage there to pull down that rebound and go up a couple times and eventually draw the foul.
Baldwin Wallace has won 6 OAC tournament championships as Schubert splits the pair. They were runners-up last year at Mount Union. This will be their first trip back to Alliance since losing in last year's OAC tournament championship game. That one was thrown. Of course, the Yellow Jackets won the OAC tournament 2 years ago. Looking for some help. Ovies gives it into the corner. Reisner raises and hits. The Capitals rounding into shape a little bit. They just got off to a very slow start as Colombo turns it over. Crusaders have hit only 6 shots the entire first half in nearly 18 minutes of action as they turn it over for the 5th time. Colombo leads all scorers with 9. Marshall contested around that 3-point line. Slings it over. Katie Smith. Well, Smith got bopped in the head. 6 to shoot. Colombo driving. Back to Smith for a step back 3. Just off the mark. And effect. Fouls Aaron Reisner on the rebound. Bentler, Clark, and Lemon all check back in. On the Capital side, Sarah Junker leaves the floor as Chelsea Pla returns. Two veteran head coaches leading 2 fairly young teams. Pla bullies Lemon there and puts it in. This is as close as Capital's been since early in the first quarter. 6-point game. Pla has 8 points, by the way. Colombo on the right wing, looking around. A lot of action away from the ball. Clark steps into a 18-footer and buries it.
Clark really good with that mid-range game, especially going to her left, able to pull up nicely there for the 2.
7 points for Sydney Clark, one of the few seniors, as Bentler takes it away, and she goes coast to coast for the finish.
Nice points off turnover there for Bentler, able to jump the pass and take it coast to coast for the easy finish.
That's the kind of mistake that will haunt Dixie Jeffers. One of the fastest coaches to ever reach the 500 and 600 milestone win plateaus. Shot clock's about 7 seconds behind the game clock here. BW content to look for a good shot. Bentler finds Lemon. Colombo gets a high screen. Uses it nicely, pulls up from the right elbow and puts it in purely.
Really a good job working that two-man game off the pick from Lemon, able to pull up nicely from mid-range.
Watchman trying to close on a solid note. She got fouled. No time on the clock, and Colombo fouled Watchman. Sherry Harrer can't believe it. It's a 12-point game. There are zeros on the clock. There's no way they're going to put 3 seconds on, maybe 0.3.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So, Annika Watchman misses on the first. 0.3 enough for a tip-in, but probably not a catch and shoot. And Watchman hits, so BW will inbound the ball, and that'll pretty much do it here for the first half. 33-22, Baldwin Wallace on top as the teams go to the locker room. Not a perfect first half for either team, especially for Capital, but I think BW would be happy with the way they've played defense so far. The Jackets have blocked 4 shots, they've forced 7 turnovers, and Capital is only shooting 27% from the floor.
Yeah, really a great defensive performance there in that first half of the Yellow Jackets. Really good all-around game for them. Like you said, those 7 turnovers, even off of their own 7 turnovers, able to get back on defense off of those and only allow 2 points off of those turnovers.
We'll step aside and come back with some first half numbers here in just a few minutes on BWYellowJackets.com. Today's Yellow Jacket women's basketball game is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the official healthcare provider for BW Athletics, and by American International. If you require a company with proven performance, you know you can rely on American International. And finally, by the Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. When you're looking for a quality place to stay before or after any Yellow Jacket affair, we hope you choose the Crown Plaza. We are about to start the second half with Baldwin Wallace on top of Capital 33-22 in a game that has major playoff implications for both teams. And right now it's been kind of a one-sided affair, though I think Capital probably feels fortunate to be only down 11.
Yeah, really after that first quarter, shooting only 6% from the field. Obviously thankful to only be down 11 here as we start the second half. Really a good job defensively to force Capital, by BW, to force Capital into situations to cause them to shoot that poor percentage. Really an all-around good game so far for the Yellow Jackets, and they're happy to be in this position.
Lots still to be determined, but we can give you an update at least on the men's side if you are interested in following that. The Yellow Jackets have defeated the Capital Crusaders down in Bexley 71-68. So Baldwin Wallace's men will come home happy today with a win down at Capital, avenging an earlier season loss against Damon Goodwin's hard-nosed Crusaders. Mackenzie Colombo is triple teamed on the baseline, and she got into a bad spot, and it becomes a turnover. Elsewhere in the conference, Muskingum and Otterbein are playing, and it is at halftime with the Muskies on top of the Cardinals 32-29. And somehow Marietta is bludgeoning Wilmington 27-13 in the early third quarter as Reisner puts in a jumper to start things here in this third quarter. Wilmington's women's team is shooting 16% in 21 minutes of play. Not getting it done, and the Quakers need to win, or else they're going to be in a really tough spot and they'll fall to the 3 seed. 9-point game here as Colombo had a nice first half. She had 11 and goes to the free throw line here early in the third quarter.
And if Wilmington were to fall to Marietta, like you said, that'd really be huge for the Yellow Jackets, really kind of getting that pressure off their back with that tie for the second seed going into that Wilmington game next week.
But keep this in mind as Colombo steps to the free throw line and misses her first. If Wilmington trails BW by 1 game going into next Saturday's regular season finale, it is likely, as Colombo hits 1 of 2, it is likely that Wilmington would have the tiebreaker if the Yellow Jackets win on Saturday next weekend and force a season split where each team would have won their home games, because Mount Union will be a higher seeded team in the conference tournament than Capital, most likely. So Wilmington is not dead to rights yet. If you're looking at it from a BW perspective, they've got 3 chances to win games, and they got to win all 3 of them if they want to lock down the 2 seed without any controversy. Obviously it would help if Wilmington fell by the wayside a little bit as Lemon tries a jump shot from the baseline, just off the mark, and Katie Smith gets hit for a foul.
That's a shot that Lemon can take and make. Like we said, her and Wormeldorf able to hit consistently from mid-range as post players. Really a good tool to have in your toolbox for both post players.
On the right side, see what the Capital Crusaders consider. Plaw lost it in the low post, and it is off of a Yellow Jacket out of bounds. The other big game in conference action today is actually on the men's side, but it involves 2 non-BW programs. John Carroll and Ohio Northern, we mentioned they were playing on the ladies' hard court. Well, they've also finished up on the men's hard court as well, as the jump shot is turned around and put in. And all of a sudden, Capital is continuing to fight. Meanwhile, the Yellow Jackets, I think, just stepped on the baseline on that inbound. Waiting to see how this is ruled here. Oh, okay, it's still Yellow Jacket ball, never mind. Anyways, the John Carroll versus Ohio Northern game is a final score. John Carroll 90, Ohio Northern 82. So that means the Blue Streaks, Pioneers, And Polar Bears are all right there at the top of the conference. Sydney Clark misses. And effect on the right side. Back to Katie Smith. Clara Lemon got caught in a jump ball situation. So with the win, John Carroll moves to 13-3, and Ohio Northern falls to 13-3. And of course, the Marietta Pioneers started the day 13-2 in conference, and they're playing Wilmington. Sydney Clark hits the shot to make it 36-26. So we'll give you some more of those updates when we get the next time out, but I don't want to take too much away from the game that's actually on the floor here as the Yellow Jackets get the ball back. That's the third personal on Chelsea Plah. That's not good because she's really been the only one that's effectively worked against Clara Lemon in the post today.
Yeah, her and Reisner really both having decent games. Really one of the two bright spots. Reisner able to hit from mid-range as well as take it in the post occasionally. But like you said, Plah, really the only effective player for Capital working that post against Lemon.
And effect. Skip passes over the top of the court. Back to Colombo, who couldn't handle it. She took her eye off it. Still loose, and finally whistles blow. Good fight by Colombo after the initial mistake. This is amazing. Marietta is blowing Wilmington away. It's a 20-point game in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Marietta's not a bad team, but Wilmington 11-4 in conference. I don't think anybody expected they would not be competitive today.
Yeah, really one of the top teams on the women's side of the conference. Really a big surprise this afternoon with them trailing by 20. Really a lot of time left against Marietta.
Step back, long two, no good out of Fondacy's hands. She gets her own rebound somehow. Reisner, left elbow extended, pulls back and hits.
Talked about it a little bit a couple minutes ago, but Reisner really consistent from that mid-range game. Really able to attack BW from a little bit of a mid-range perspective there.
Capital pressed, and Katie Smith nearly made it burn. Second foul on the Crusaders. And it goes on Fondacy, her first.
And Katie Smith really more of a three-point shooter for the Yellow Jackets, but they're able to get the ball on the fast break, breaking the press there. Takes it really nicely to the paint for the foul.
Riley Schill on the baseline inbound nearly overshot Clara Lemon there. Bentler. She was held up for a moment. Riley Schill looking around and short out of her hand. She might have gotten hit, but no foul called. Anyways, on the men's side, as it pertains to BW, the Jackets right now are tied with the Capital Crusaders. Both teams are 6-10, and they split in the regular season. So you'd have to look at a large tiebreaker scenario. Figure out who would get seated where. Still a couple games left. Katie Smith for three, and she hits. The Yellow Jackets are happy over in front of their bench. The final two games of the regular season for BW's men will come at home against Mount Union on Wednesday and at Wilmington next weekend. That one got clanked off the back of the iron. The putback didn't go. And Capital comes up with yet another offensive rebound, upsetting head coach Sherry Harrer. Watchman gives it free. Fondacy. Little dump underneath, and Riley Schill grabs it. Boy, Riley was really bothered down there.
Yeah, Capital really pressing those rebounds.
Clark, a triple. Just a little short. Well, so far the second half hasn't seen a ton of scoring, but Baldwin Wallace is hanging in there. Sesh way too long on her baseline jump shot. She's 1 of 3 shooting the rock. Schill fouled underneath. Stone Rock hit her.
Yeah, definitely came across the right hand there.
Reisner and Plaw have combined for 18 of the 28 Capital points. They've had a lot of players who just haven't done a whole lot this afternoon. Riley Schill from the free throw line. She's too short on the first one. All right, we'll reset the floor for you as Wommeldorf, Starr, Schill, Bettler, and Smith are all in the game. Riley misses both free throws.
With that BW only 4 of 8 from the line, really uncharacteristic of them, that poor percentage from the free throw line today.
You're right, for so long they've been dominant from the free throw line.
Really right around 90% for a good stretch of games there.
And shooting more than 20 free throws a game at that. Watchman really bothered around the arc. She continues to hold the basketball herself, then throws it away as Junker and company go diving on the floor for it. Still loose, only 1 to shoot, and that never got off in time. Another shot clock violation. Ohio Northern is beating John Carroll 63-28 in the third quarter in Ada. The Ohio Northern Polar Bears, who have wrapped up the OAC's regular season title, they're outscoring John Carroll 16-1 in the third quarter. Rachel Wommeldorf puts it in. Not a good day for the Blue Streaks, and it just makes everybody else around the conference scratch their head when they see that Ohio Northern team just running away with things. Of course, the Yellow Jackets know what it's like. They scored 1 point in the third quarter about a week and a half ago against Ohio Northern. Nice follow through put in by Ovies. It's a 41-30 contest. By the way, that 13-point lead a moment ago was the largest of the game for BW. Katie Smith blocked out of bounds. Nice job by Reisner.
Really good help defense there by the Crusaders. Smith able to get to the hole there, but Reisner with the help defense.
Mackenzie Colombo on the baseline. She'll inbound it. 13 to shoot. And an offensive foul as Wommeldorf set an illegal screen.
Yeah, a little movement there on the screen by Wommeldorf. And then we get her feet set, a little push there as the defender tried to hedge that screen.
Hard to believe the Wilmington Quakers still haven't had a 10-point quarter at Marietta. They're almost at the end of the third period with 8 points in that quarter, but they're still down by 17. So the Yellow Jackets might get a break today, but they need to take care of business themselves. Fondacy's three-pointer missed, and then a foul as everybody jockeyed for the rebound. That's the 5th foul against Capital this quarter, so BW's in the bonus the rest of the way, and the first on Aaron Reisner. Alex Starr's first free throw is up and good. With BW's win today, as the second free throw counts as well, there is a high probability, I'd have to go back and look, but I think they've essentially guaranteed themselves a spot in the OAC tournament now, which until today had not been official. So that first basket put in there in the corner by Fondacy. So that means the Yellow Jackets would play on Tuesday of the OAC tournament week. It will be a week from this upcoming Tuesday as Wommeldorf lays another one in.
Really a great feed there by Starr, able to collapse the defense on the drive and dish Wommeldorf for the easy 2.
But with 2 games left, there's still a lot to be determined in terms of some seeding.
Yeah.
We'll get that all situated for you. Some of it depends, too, on how Marietta and Wilmington finish this afternoon. Heidelberg and Mount Union are in overtime on the men's side. Final 2 minutes in the third quarter. 3 ball, no good from Bentler. Marshall the offensive rebound, and she got fouled as she tried to pass it away. Fouls on Ovies, her second. So Kara Marshall to the stripe, where BW, again, has not particularly been good today, but usually pretty good. $14-point lead at the moment. And Marshall's second free throw extends the largest lead of the game for BW. Dixie Jeffers just stands in front of her own bench with her arms folded. She has to be frustrated with the way things have gone. There's another missed shot fired up there. Capitals hit 12 of 41 shots. Marshall, nifty move, slicing through the key for two. Jackets are starting to run away with it. Marshall's got 4. Bentler picks it off. Not a bad idea for the Crusaders, but Bentler was right there. Wammeldorf with her back to the hoop, passes away. Starr flashes from behind, out to an open Bentler, too short. Capital needs to start taking some high percentage looks.
Yeah.
Because they're not hitting anything from outside. That one rolls out of bounds. 12 seconds to shoot. Not to mention, it's so quiet in this gymnasium that all you hear is the instructions from the coaching staffs or from the teammates sitting on the bench. It's just not a very lively gymnasium today.
Yeah, really not a huge crowd here. The marching band seems to have left. Like you said, really quiet here today in Ursprung.
8 to shoot for Capital. Reisner misfires. Junker trying to keep it, and the shot clock is off. Ovies needs some help. Fondesi into the middle of the paint. Reisner with a Rachel Wammeldorf hand extended, puts it in. Final couple seconds of the third quarter. Riley Schill got it off, but it did not count. After 3, it's Baldwin Wallace 49 and Capital 34. 15-point lead for the Jackets as they try to wrap up a big win over the Crusaders. Come on back for the fourth quarter after this on BWYellowJackets.com. Time for our fourth quarter coverage of Yellow Jacket basketball tonight. Of course, brought to you by Parkway Auto Care in Berea, Strongsville Express Tire and Automotive, and Montville Express Tire and Automotive. They serve the southwestern suburbs of Greater Cleveland. The Yellow Jackets have never trailed, and honestly, this 15-point lead hasn't really represented how one-sided this game has been. Capital just hasn't gotten it going at all.
Yeah, really just a great performance so far by the Yellow Jackets on both the offensive and defensive ends.
Clark for 3 and just adds insult to injury. It's an 18-point lead. Baldwin Wallace can control its own destiny to a 2 seed if they win today, Wednesday, and 1 week from this afternoon, as Junker definitely traveled in the paint.
And we mentioned it earlier, but that 2 seed is really a big advantage with those 2 opening round buys, automatically putting the Yellow Jackets into that semifinal game, one less game you have to worry about in order to get that conference championship. Really be huge for them to clinch that second seed here in the coming week.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the women's committee decided that they wanted to protect the top couple of seeds. So rather than doing a 1 plays 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5 typical quarterfinal style tournament, Sydney Clark runs in another one. It's 54-34. Instead, the 1 and 2 seeds get byes all the way to semifinal round on Thursday. Monday of the OAC tournament week, 5 plays 8 and 6 plays 7. And the winner of those games play a game the next day, as Mackenzie Matthews was fouled in transition. The 5-8 winner plays the 4 seed. The 6-7 winner plays the 3 seed. So in theory, if you are one of the bottom 4 teams to make the tournament, Ryan, you got to win 4 games Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to win the OAC tournament after having played your final regular season game 2 days before that.
Yeah.
You're going to play 5 games in 8 days.
Yeah.
It could be really difficult.
Really a tough turnaround there, especially for the back-to-back game on the Monday-Tuesday action. Like you said, really just tough to string together 5 in a row within the course of a week.
So it definitely protects the top half of the tournament as Mackenzie Matthews hits both free throws. But more than protecting, it's essentially, in my opinion, more of a reward. If you finish in the top half of the conference, you deserve to have that opportunity to, play home games deep into the OAC tournament. And of course, the winner of the OAC tournament qualifies for the national tournament starting the following weekend. 6 to shoot. This is Reisner. Rattles one home. 56-36. Reisner's got 14, the only bright spot really for Capital. Matthews, a long cross-court pass. And Matthews receives one from Riley Schill. She got in some trouble there. Riley Schill to the rim. Missed everything. Rebound pulled in by Ondo.
Good take there by Schill, just unable to convert there.
Blocking foul called as Ovies is going to the free throw line.
Yeah, looked like Matthews might have slid underneath there, so her feet moved a little bit there. Couldn't quite get set to take the charge.
It's a final in Mount Union on the men's side. Heidelberg has beaten Mount Union 97-94 in overtime.
Wow.
That's a big win for Heidelberg. It'll move them to 6-10. A 3-way tie with BW Capital and Heidelberg in the bottom 3 spots in the OAC standings. Wilmington is right now down significantly at home to Marietta, but it's not over yet. As Katie Smith stepped on the baseline, it's likely that you'll see Wilmington fall to 4-12. So you'd have Wilmington 2 games behind BW, Capital, and Heidelberg, which means BW would be in the tournament with only 2 games to play. And they have Wilmington next Saturday.
Right.
Pondesi a little too strong from the left baseline, and that's definitely a foul on Riley Schill, who went in way too strong. It's a 19-point game here inside Ursprung Gymnasium. That one might have been deflected. Still went in. It was close if it wasn't tipped. 56-39. Katie Smith. Time is on BW's side. Kenzie Matthews hasn't played a whole lot today, but she's gotten in here in the 4th quarter. 4 to shoot for Riley Schill. Nice crossover move. Lemon had to throw it up there. It didn't go in. Close though.
Yeah, almost got the shooter's touch there off the backboard.
A quick pass to Reisner in the corner. She drives, and it went all the way down and then popped out. Back to BW it goes. About halfway through the second half in Wilmington, Marietta leads the Quakers 78-63. That's a matchup between the top team on the men's side of the OAC and a team fighting for playoff relevancy. Here, 6.5 minutes to go, and it's BW way out front on BWYellowJackets.com. Baldwin Wallace way out front of the Capital Crusaders in the final regular season meeting between these two. Alongside Ryan Swingle, I'm Brendan Gulick. Ryan, in the history of this series, you typically don't see games that have a 17-point margin late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we talked about it all game. Two storied programs. Really interesting to see Capital at the bottom of the conference and such a wide game.
Wommeldorf over the top of the rim, no good. Watchman bringing it back up the floor. She's been pretty much neutralized here this afternoon. Not a bad point guard for the Crusaders. Pass into the paint. Plaw with a dribble. Might have taken an extra step, but she put it in anyways.
Again, really someone who I was looking for to have a good production was Ando. Had 16 points in their first meeting, but she's been really ineffective, only held to 2 points so far this afternoon.
10 for Plaw as Mackenzie Colombo goes back to the free throw line. Baldwin Wallace by 15. So the score really isn't in jeopardy here, but that doesn't mean you can't just go through the motions. You got to keep playing hard late. As Colombo's free throws up and good. And of course, for somebody like Mackenzie Colombo, Sydney Clark, Clara Lemon, their chances to put a Yellow Jacket jersey on their back each night are starting to run few and far between, with the season dwindling to a close and their careers are on the horizon. Colombo puts it in. Got to make the most of every opportunity you can on the floor, because you never know when your last game may come.
Definitely.
But you can certainly feel confident as seniors who will not be returning to the program next year that the end of their careers is coming soon. Bettler pulled one away. Colombo on the forecourt. Riley Schill up top. Half the fourth quarter in the books. And Colombo scores again.
Really a wild drive there by Colombo, able to convert off the contact. Really a nice play there by the senior.
Colombo leads all scorers with 16. 5 of 6 from the floor, 5 of 6 from the line as Wommeldorf got her outstretched arm on it. Mackenzie taking over, and she's going back to the free throw line again.
Really had the two-way option there. Had Bentler open in the corner or took that nice drive there. Both options viable, and should go to the line for two.
While Capital has shot at 32% from the floor, we've talked about their struggles. BW has kind of had their way. They've hit almost 1 out of every 2 here this afternoon. And while they had a couple of misses from the free throw line, they've hit now 9 in a row from the stripe. 13 of 17 for the game. Colombo hit the first to make it a 20-point contest. And she misses on the second. With a loss today, we would be talking about the worst conference record for a Dixie Jeffers-led team in her entire 31-year stretch leading Capital's program. As a pass into the interior. The worst her team has ever gone in conference, 8-10. That was back in the 02-03 season. Capital actually came in playing okay. They'd lost 2 in a row, but had won 4 out of 5 prior to that. Back in 88-89, just the third year of her program, she had a 7-9 record in conference play, but never worse than 8-10. Well, if the Crusaders don't put together a miraculous comeback today, this will be their 11th loss in the OAC during the regular season. And again, they're in danger of not making the tournament, but still could qualify with a strong closing week.
This isn't a bad team. They have a lot of good, really more role players. They just really need 1 or 2 more playmakers. I think they can really be a good team next year if they can get a couple of those in the upcoming recruiting class.
Riley Schill going to the free throw line. 18-point lead with 3.5 minutes to go. All right, so if you joined us a little late and you're unfamiliar with the way things are going in the conference this year, Schill misses on her first. Ohio Northern is the regular season champions. They entered today with a 4-game lead and 3 games to play. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Schill hits the second, and she's got another one coming. The second seed in the tournament was up for grabs with 3 games to go. BW and Wilmington tied at 11-4 at the outset of the day. Wilmington is getting blown away in Marietta by 14 points halfway through the fourth quarter. They scored 13 points in the entire first half. Wow. Just steamrolled today by Marietta, who's not a bad team, but I don't think anybody expected that. Pioneers are trying to get to 500 in conference play, and Wilmington is a pretty darn good club.
Yeah, especially competing for that 2 seed, like we've said.
But remember, that's a Wilmington team that just lost at John Carroll the other day. And that's as bad a John Carroll team on the women's side as we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, they have a chance this year if John Carroll does not win any of their 2 remaining games. They will tie the record for the worst record in program history in University Heights. So for Wilmington to lose to that team on the road really deflated them, and maybe they just weren't mentally ready to go play at Marietta today. So that one came up a little short. So it looks like BW is with a 20-point lead and 3 minutes to go. You'd think they're going to hang on to win today, and they'll have a 1-game lead on Wilmington for that second seed in the tournament, which is an important note, with 2 games to play, and they will play the Wilmington Quakers here on Saturday next weekend. Mackenzie Matthews in the paint, gave it away to Wommeldorf, and she missed it. Wednesday night in Alliance at Mount Union. That's where BW finds themselves next on the hard court. They will close the regular season with the only 2 teams in conference to beat them, not named Ohio Northern.
Yeah.
So big games coming up this week for the Jackets. A nice win on the men's side down in Bexley today, 71-68. BW 6-10 in OAC play on the men's side, and they are tournament bound officially. Alex Starr. Too strong. Under 2 minutes to go. By the way, just for good measure, midway through the fourth quarter in Ada, it's Ohio Northern beating John Carroll 84-48. Wow. And they have definitely let up in the second half. At one point, Northern was outscoring John Carroll 21-1 in the third quarter. And a rolling timeout here just to get some new subs on the floor, unless BW is also going to call timeout. All right, so the Yellow Jackets will stop things with 1.5 minutes to go. So an updated look at the OAC standings. Ohio Northern at 16-0. Wilmington will likely fall to 11-5 with the Jackets in second place by themselves at 12-4. Wilmington's loss means a Marietta win, and again, that's not official, but it's almost official. And Marietta at 8-8, if they hold on and win that game, they're probably going to wrap up the 4 seed and have a home game, which would be terrific for a Marietta program that has for a long time been among the worst in the conference. Great to see the Pioneers playing well.
Yeah, definitely a little mix-up atop the conference. Really good form of parity this year for the basketball landscape.
Mount Union and Heidelberg on the ladies' side competing this afternoon as well. And bounced around in the corner a little bit. Starr wants another three, and she just couldn't get him to fall. A good effort keeps it alive. Sat on the side of the rim. How'd that not go in?
Really a nice jab step through by Matthews.
Riley Schill picks it off with less than a minute to go. Hope you'll stick around for our post-game coverage when Sherry Harrer will join us live on our post-game show. Bentler had a good game last week. Of course, that was right on cue on a poor play. Don't typically see that from her. A couple of subs here as Kara Marshall checks in, as does Autumn Richards, the freshman from Nordonia High School. Haven't had a chance to see much of Miss Richards this season, but she'll be in there for the final 30 seconds here with a 20-point lead. Wow, nice give and go. Just didn't work out. Well, it's hard to win a game when you hit fewer field goals than minutes played.
Yeah.
And Capital right now has only hit 17 shots from the floor. You usually want to average at least 10 field goals a half, you'd think, right? Well, there's the final horn. 63-43. It's a final here in Berea. The Yellow Jackets with a 20-point win over Capital. That is not the kind of team you typically see from Dixie Jeffers, who little dejectedly walks off the court with her 11th loss of the season. Again, it's the roughest season that Capital's ever had in OAC competition, while Dixie Jeffers has been their head coach. BW with a 20-point win. We'll wrap it up next on BWYellowJackets.com.